further review, what did film change that Monday's game?
A lot of opportunities out there for us to execute. For me, I'm just looking at it as opportunity of growth.
After the game, you said it was too soon to review kind of the chances you took over the middle and what you learned from that. Just in the time since, what kind of evaluations did you feel about that?
I just think going out there and playing fast and playing decisive and going out there and executing. At the end of the day, some of those things didn't go our way. For me, my ultimate importance is protecting the ball and being able to do that. So just see it that way.
When you have a game where you're kind of after and it doesn't go the way you'd like, how do you keep your confidence at a high level?
The problem about the game is as ugly as it was throughout. I had the opportunity to win it in the end, and so that's what I take a lot of pride in. And I didn't come up for my team.
How do you keep the confidence up despite that?
Wake up the next day, go back to work.
How do you balance protecting the balls and kind of being aggressive? I know that's a constant back and forth.
Yes, I take the approach I've taken for a while, and it seemed to work. And so I think right now it's just a matter of being more detailed, being more focused, and taking everything to another level.
When you say detailed, what does that mean? Does that mean being more detailed in practice and film preparation? What does being more detailed mean?
Well, I think there's two perspectives you can look at it. It's a perspective first of looking inward and saying, how can I be on the right track when I'm in the run game? How can I take the right steps in the right line mark? How can I have the right technique? How am I playing with the right fundamentals to run the way I want to run and then throw the way I want to throw, give an accurate ball, give an advanceable ball, and just play fast and play that type of ball I want to play. Then there's the other side of it where you say, okay, it takes all 11. And everybody has to be on the same page. Everybody has to hold their end of the rope to go out there and have the output or outcome that we all desire. And so I stand before you today saying I take a lot of pride in the things that I can control. And at the end of the day, that's where it'll always begin and end in this game. And so I gotta do it.
In other sports, we're used to athletes getting into slumps, and you talk about hitters adjusting their hands or their stride, or basketball players adjusting their feet. Do quarterbacks get into slumps, like where you just, the mechanics aren't there?
I'm gonna say for whatever reason, I think that's a part of the game. Success or greatness, those things aren't linear. You have your ups, you have your downs, but it's about how you respond to it. And I think about that. I mean, it's nothing new that I haven't faced before. It's a matter of responding to it, and I got a lot of confidence how we respond. I got a lot of confidence how it go.
When you're in a situation
about protecting the ball is utmost to you. And that overtime throw to Devontae, it seemed like you're releasing that before he makes a break, and it seemed like you were doing that more in the second half. What goes into all of that in terms of timing, getting there, and deciding amongst high traffic, how to attack that zone?
I just feel like, when you put forth the work, you put forth the effort, good things happen when you need them to happen. That's my mentality. That's how I've gotten to where I am today. That's how I've been able to overcome some of the high mountains that have been in the way. And I don't look at this time or this opportunity in front of us as anything different. And so you're always going to be tested. You're always going to have something that you have to overcome. And this is something that, as a team, we've got in front of us that we have to attack with full force.
Is there a balance to sticking with your routine, what has gotten you to this point, versus trying to change minor things to maximize performance?
There's no balance. I mean, it's balance versus rhythm. You want to find your rhythm in everything that you do, but that's in itself, you balancing everything as you go. So as you try and move forward, just finding a good rhythm in what you're doing. And then I think to your question is discerning when and when not to do certain things, discerning when to assert and not assert, when to, let things be, and when to, in some ways kind of take over and do it that way. And so it's time to go.
What challenges do you think the Raiders present you guys with from what you've seen so far? What do they do well?
Say that again.
What challenges do the Raiders present to you? From what you've seen so far, what do they do well?
Well, I mean, they got a really disruptive front led with Max Crosby, and the way he plays, he's all over the field, has a high motor. So definitely got a lot of respect for him. And the linebackers are, I feel, very underrated in how they play and fly to the ball, how physical they are. And so we just, got a good defense in front of us, and we just got to go out there and really find our game and play our game.
In the previous answer, you said run the way you want to run. As we discussed here, you haven't run with the same frequency as you have in the past. As we discussed over the past 5 years, that's part of kind of what makes you you. Can you be the quarterback that you've shown you can be if that part of your game is not at the same frequency as it's been in the past?
I think it comes down to finding ways to win. And so being able to find ways to win in multiple ways is what I think about first. And, winning comes through the change of coaching, maybe how a scheme evolves through that coaching change, and how things are delivered and what those strategies are in the midst of the game. But right now it's just about finding ways to go out there and find a way to win the game. And so I don't look at that and reflect on one area of my or everyone's game. It's a matter of getting it done, right? I think when we look at this last week, you look at the game for what it is and judge it as it is, but you got an opportunity to win it in the end. And so I'd rather put my focus on that and trying to take advantage of those opportunities when they come.
I know it might be subjective, but it has seemed when this offense is at its best over the years, your legs are a big part of that. Yeah. Is that something you would agree with?
I think there's a flow to it. I think there's a flow to the running gun. Absolutely. As I've said, it hasn't been for lack of effort or thought. It's just kind of how some of these games have unfolded. And so we've just got to find a way to galvanize everything and be able to assert a way in the style of play. I know you guys obviously caught some of the changes we made this week, but it's kind of, it's kind of an antagonist to every week, right? When we do something very well, then there's another thing that comes up and kind of bites us, and then we got new things that come up maybe 2 weeks later, and then 2 weeks later after that, and so we just got to find a way to put it all together, and that's every aspect of what makes this unit, makes this group what we are. So we've got to find a way to do that at a high level.
If I could kind of follow up on that, I mean, one of the things you guys do well, like Saquon had a pretty good, game running wise. How much can that kind of help you guys going forward, what you guys were able to do with him running the ball?
Yeah, we want to try and use that as something that we can build upon and grow in the direction that we want to grow. We just got to play better team football. We got to play better, and I have to play better, and that starts with me.
Defensively, were the Chargers doing anything as far as their tendencies that surprised you, as far as dropping linemen into coverage or DBs jumping routes? Was there anything they did that surprised you that you maybe weren't expecting?
I think that's a really good unit overall. It's a really good unit. They've been playing really, really good ball, especially as of late on that side of the ball. And I mean, they had a really good performance.
Jalen,
Say some more.
Saquon had said last week when he was asked about the sideline vibes, he said he thought they were awful. But he said he thought this past game they were good. I'm wondering, how you view your role in that regard, or do you just think it's more about just performance and that'll fuel the vibes?
You said awful?
He said awful, yeah.
Okay. I just see it as going out there and executing. I think execution fuels emotion. There's a sense of unity. There's a sense of pride that everyone takes. And I think in the time right now, you find out a lot about how bad someone wants it. And so we've got to want to execute at a high level. We've got to want to prepare in the way that we need to prepare to go out there and make sure we're in place to foster some of that, fuel some of that emotion, some of that energy, and some of that. And so obviously I think it starts with practice. It starts with the intent. It starts with the togetherness, and then just continue to prove and move forward.
You mentioned last week that you'd gone way back to look at film and all of that. So it seems like you are particularly aware of who you are as a quarterback and all those things. I'm curious, just how much more are you learning about yourself, and how much does like one game and a Monday night test things that you know about yourself and whatever limitations or whatever things you can push for?
I mean, I stick to the process, and I just stay the course. And I think a lot of the going back is trying to find ways we can improve, find ways that we can have new perspective, or maybe think about some of the perspectives we've lost. And I'm doing all those things in the midst of change. And so it's thinking about all the different perspectives that I've had to lean on from a coaching standpoint. And so from that aspect, it's endless. It's endless.
Okay. Thanks, Alex.